Hi, my name is Jeremy Roa, and this is my video about the analysis of the Romans of a busy broker. So the first question says, what is the presentation, basic situation, and what do we learn from it? The basic situation is presented at the beginning of the story, where we identify Harvey Maxwell, who happens to be a broker, overloaded with work and overwhelmed. At the office, a morning past 9:30, he was with his young lady secretary, Mrs. Leslie, and with Pitcher, who was a very good friend, confident, and peer of business. We can see Maxwell is very full of work, so much he tends to forget important details of his life. He only knew that he had to work, and vaguely he thought about a marriage proposal that needed to be made to Miss Leslie. However, he was so forgetful, he even forgot they had married the night before. We can learn from this presentation that Mr. Maxwell is extremely loaded. It can also be inferred that business has gotten the best of him, so much that he will not be able to keep up his job and his new life if he doesn't find the perfect balance. I also learned that Mrs. Leslie is a patient woman who appeared to be set up for this conflict between her and her husband. Who are the main three characters and how are they related, says the second question. The three main characters will be Mr. Maxwell, or Harvey Maxwell, Mr. Pitcher, and Mrs. Leslie, or Mrs. Maxwell. They are related since they work in the same office. Pitcher will be the great confidant of Mr. Maxwell and friends with Mrs. Leslie. The third question will say, what is the conflict and who represents it? Give examples. The conflict will be the lost, old, short memory of Mr. Maxwell. So overloaded with work and errands to do, he even forgot he's married to the person that he loves the most. It happens to be an internal conflict where he is submerged in his inner forgetful world, forgetting his marriage, his spouse, her look, and his initial proposal to her. The fourth question says, when does the rising action starts and when is the climax starting? The rising action will start when Pitcher talked about the new secretary candidate that will occupy the place of Mrs. Leslie, since she wouldn't be able to continue to work in the same shift as the secretary because she's the boss wife, and it will represent an illegal action. Mr. Maxwell slams angrily, stating that they do not need a new secretary since Leslie is there already. But all of this happens because he has forgotten he married her. The climax will start when he has a glimpse of time available, and in the middle of the dinner and everything, he smells the scent of Mrs. Leslie, and he figures out that he just has a little amount of time to ask her hand, but goes to her anyways to do it, and she explains that they have married the night before. The last question says, in the end, there is no resolution. We need to infer it. What would you think will happen? Well, to my point of view, Mrs. Leslie was very set up for this situation. She knew this was probably going to happen. She admits it when she says, it is business. It has put everything else out of your head. I was afraid at first. She also loves this man, apparently, and it looks like she's able to accept anything that comes out with this love. I infer she will probably forgive him for this. However, it be also very clear that it will keep affecting their relationship if Harvey ends being unable to find balance between his job and his personal life, which I believe he would be, because he is a good man according to what the story shows. I just want to thank you for everything, and goodbye.